Today's topic is perpetual celibacy as it applies to men. First things first, what is it? In a nutshell, it's the inability of a person to form romantic and/or sexual relationships for whatever reason. In many perpetually celibate men, the fight or flight limbic system is genetically overactive, making them feel extremely anxious in public situations such as parties or regular social outings. This cripples them and makes them often unable to form personal relationships, let alone sexual or romantic relationships. They simply never get off the ground. Of course, many perpetually celibates are so for other reasons, but this is the main one. The reason why the modern-day level of perpetually celibate men is so high, I will get into later. Now, among some listeners, there will be a knee-jerk reaction to what I've just said, so I would advise you listen up before allowing preconceived notions to dominate. It's easy to say, just go out there and ask a girl out, or just go out there and mix and mingle with people, you'll get the hang of it. Problem is, those suffering from perpetual celibacy know this to be incomplete advice, because they have tried this over and over again, and it gets them nowhere. Fact is, there's something preventing them from getting in relationships, a roadblock that prevents them from romantically courting women. I've got to say, simplistic and/or condescending advice will get them nowhere. Now that I've corrected any potential knee-jerk reactions, I'd like to describe the scope of perpetual celibacy. For the pedantic, it does not technically describe the inability to form relationships per se, but most perpetually celibate guys desire relationships. Sexual gratification itself can be done with a hand. The thing is, most men want the loving contact of a woman. This phenomenon is also called involuntary celibacy or love shyness in some circles, but I prefer the term perpetual celibacy, as it is more descriptive. Involuntary celibacy implies some kind of disability, while love shyness is just too vague and mamby-pamby a description for the layman onlooker to grasp. Perpetual celibacy describes something an outsider can see. No matter what the guy tries to do, he always ends up coming short when trying to attain a relationship of any time span. Everyone else seems to have no problems, but he's the one guy who has extreme difficulty attracting women. Or maybe he isn't the one guy. Perhaps others are just better at hiding it. But the fact is, he ain't getting laid, and he ain't happy about it. Now, voluntary celibates, or volcels, don't fall under this moniker, nor do men going their own way ghosters. Perpetual celibacy describes people who desperately want female companionship, but can't for the life of them get it in any form without paying a hooker. And women suffer from this as well, but less so due to various factors. To say that female perpetual celibates are so due to pickiness is an oversimplification, of course. Put bluntly, an overly active limbic system, combined with a good dose of feminism thrown in, can really head-fuck a woman. These women have been served by feminism just like any perpetually celibate man has. This discussion, however, will focus on perpetually celibate men, because they are the ones getting shafted the most under this society. With the scope of perpetual celibacy clarified, I'll go into detail about its causes. There are many factors. Nowadays, men are encouraged to be perpetually celibate, as opposed to the other way around. Men are taught from the ground up, from day one, that being nice and good people will guarantee them a woman down the road. What isn't taught anymore is that they must be men. Such is discouraged in today's society. The biggest influences in this regard are often the man's family, friends, and school. Useful idiots, if you will. From every corner of society, men are taught to be emasculated and risk-averse. This, combined with the latter-day dating culture that advocates hooking up instead of dating, and the anonymity of an urban environment, isolates men who are not skilled socially. Doubly so for those who are of anxious persuasion. Being taught to be emasculated at the same time that women's demands are going upward creates a situation where fewer and fewer men have any success with women. Men react differently to such treatment. Those who are less emotionally attuned to things will continue to go down that road, hoping to land a woman, and eventually only find one who's fairly used up and wants to quote-unquote settle with the guy. Others will try pick-up artist routines with varying levels of success. Still others will just say screw it and leave the dating game altogether. Exacerbating the situation further is the higher amount of estrogens in the water supply and other screwy chemicals that are put into containers that affect people's hormonal systems. Doubtless this contributes to the rise of autism and Asperger's syndrome, which is dramatically more pronounced in men. Such men have an especially hard time in today's social environment, and there are more of them than there were in the past.